reigning defending Bellator middleweight champion, Johnny Eblen. Hey, Johnny, how are you?
What's up, Ariel? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us again. By the way, am I the reason why you were at the finale? Because like I did say to him, and he had no plans. Like, did you get the call and say, "Hey, Helwani had a good idea"? I mean, can I take some credit for this?
I think you can, man, because after you kind of put it out there, I was getting hit up. So,
The whole crew
quite
was there.
possibly you could have been the whole crew. Me and Patchy, I saw Patchy there. Jason Jackson was there. Patricio was there. It was a cool little event. It was interesting. There's a lot of questions up in the air. Some of them are excited. I had some questions, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes, and we'll kind of figure it out as we go. I think some answers will be given, as time passes. But right now, nothing really too much.
Okay. Well, let me ask you. Being at the event, what did you think of it? Obviously, you've been at Bellator for so long, and I know you've been to other events, but sitting there, taking it all in, what'd you make of the show?
They had a good team. It seemed like they put on a pretty good production. The fans that were there were pretty hyped. But the event was really long.
Yeah.
I can't say that it was, action packed the whole time. It was just such a long event. And I'm just like, I feel like you need to break this up. This is too much in one night. It gets long. You get, kind of tired of sitting there and kind of waiting for the grand finale. And it's just such a long event, man.
Yeah.
I think they definitely could break that up.
Yeah. It's a lot of title fights, 6 title fights, a lot of them going the distance, just makes for a really long night. When you're sitting there and you're seeing some of the other champions go in and do the face-off and you're not taking part in that, and we'll get into perhaps why in a moment, but like, did you feel, like, were you getting antsy? Did you say, like, I want to walk in there, I want to do something?
I really didn't care if they told me they wanted me to go in after maybe the Brunson fight. I was down to do that. There's no champ at middleweight, so I didn't really see them doing like a face-off. I know they were doing the face-off with champs versus champs, but technically, no middleweight champ. I could have seen like maybe me going in after Impa won, because I don't think Nemkov is planning to make 205 again. So possibly you could make that fight. It's champ versus champ at different weight classes, but I mean, I'm down to do that.
How would you feel fighting at 205?
I mean, if it's a one-off thing, for like a champ versus champ or for a belt, I'm completely down for it. But I don't think I'm really like up to actually like move up a weight class, maybe later on in my career if I don't want to cut as much weight. But to do super fights, I think it makes sense for me.
Either that night or since the acquisition, have you had a conversation with the new owners?
Yeah. I actually spoke with them at the event, and then Brian, my manager, Sucker Punch, he's been in contact with them, and we've kind of been going back and forth. There's no real solid answers. There's some hearsay and like we'll maybe do this, but there's nothing solid. There's nothing in writing. No one signed anything. So it's sounding like they have a plan for me, that they want me to fight often. I'm kind of pushing them to fight me often, at least, 3 times, if not 4 times. But, there's no real plan set for me yet, except for maybe a fight in February. That's the only thing I've really heard.
Okay. Would the fight in February perhaps be against Derek Brunson?
I think that's the one that they want to make.
Okay.
And if they can, I'm 1,000% down to do that. I think that's on schedule with, me fighting at least 3 times that year or next year. So I would be very, very happy if they got me on a card in February fighting Derek Brunson.
What do you think of his win over Ray Cooper?
I mean, he did what he needed to do to get the win. And I think it would have been a little bit different if, PFL allowed elbows. Yeah. That's another thing I'm going to try to see. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't allow elbows in a competition that's outside of a tournament aspect. Or like, why wouldn't you just allow elbows at the end, because you don't have to fight again very soon. So Agreed. It would make sense to allow elbows. Yeah. So maybe I think he did good though. Like, he's a veteran. He didn't look amazing, but he did enough to get the win. Got a win over a tough guy, and good for him. Happy for him.
Couldn't agree more, by the way. Non-tournament fights or tournament finales, elbows have to be included. And they say like, oh, it's not the same rules going in. Well, first of all, non-tournament fights are non-tournament fights, and it's just that's MMA. Like that's a major weapon, right? Especially for a wrestler, you need those elbows.
Yeah, especially if you're on top and you have good top control and you can frame the face and elbow, dude. You can end fights there, especially even from bottom, dude. Even from the clinch, there's a lot of in close quarters. It's hard to throw punches and kicks, so you got to use elbows.
No,
so I think it's a big advantage to be able to use those weapons.
Would that fight interest you? Like, do you like the idea of fighting Derek Brunson?
Yeah, man. I honestly, anybody at this point.
Okay.
I'll fight Derek Brunson. I'll fight Impa. I'll go up. I'll fight Jake Paul if he wants to fight me. I don't really think he wants to. No. I'd fight Aaron Jeffrey, even though he's a Bellator guy. Any fight they want to make, man. I'm completely down to get in the cage and get after it. I just want to fight early and often.
So I saw your tweet a couple days ago where you said you want to fight, and then I saw Aaron quote tweeted today, I think it was, saying like, "Let's go, let's do it." We're showing it right now. Me too. Let's do it. He said. You said I want to fight ASAP. What interests you more, Brunson or the younger up and coming Aaron Jeffrey?
They're both interesting to me. Whoever honestly gets me the quickest fight, that's what I'm most interested about. I really don't care at this point. It's more about what PFL wants to do with me and what fight they want to make ASAP, and who obviously it sounds like Aaron wants to fight, but it sounds like the fight in February, they want to do like PFL versus Bellator.
Yeah.
So he might not fit into that, but let's maybe do a quick turnaround. I'll fight Aaron right after that. And I'm happy to do that as well,
When I spoke to Don Davis, he had mentioned that everyone's kind of going to have an opportunity to decide like which path they want to go, the non-tourney fights, which would be Bellator, or the tournament route. Is it possible that you can go into PFL and they start at 185 division and you go through the tournament type thing, the season?
It sounds like he wants to do that in 2025.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it was on your show? It might have been on somebody else. He might have said something else on another show, or I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he stated that he wanted to build a division for bantamweight and middleweight in 2025. So it sounds like he wants to keep the same weight classes for tournaments right now, and then build out those weight classes for tournaments in the following year. So that's the only issue I kind of have. I'm like, well, are we just going to sit back and not really do much until then? Or you going to at least let us, fight 3 times or 4 times while we wait for you to build out division for us?
Okay. I guess maybe the answer to that is maybe it's too far. Like they probably have most of the guys signed for 2024. So that's what they'd have to do in 2025. And you guys could do the non-tourney fights. Are you okay with that? Like, if they do these international 8 cards, these Bellator cards, do you feel like that's an okay place for you in your career right now? Or do you feel like, I don't know, it's not enticing? Like, does this get you excited? Are you excited about this new chapter, or do you feel sort of like a feather floating in the wind here?
Somewhat a feather floating in the wind because I have no definite answers.
Yeah.
I will be excited if they can put something on paper like, hey, man, we're going to fight you at least 3 times this year. I'm like, okay, I'm excited to jump on. But it's just the fact of not radio silence. They've kind of, gone back and forth with us, but nothing definitive. Nothing like, hey, man, like they're saying that they're going to take care of me. They're saying that, they're excited for me and that I'm a top priority. And I believe them, but I just got to see, something on paper, something that's, actually giving me proof that, hey, I am a priority.
And there's no out for you, right? Like you can't just say, I'm out.
I just got to fight my way out, man. If I think the only way I could get out is like not fight. And I don't want to do that. Like,
sure.
I'd rather just fight my way out of a contract. And, I got 5 fights left. So it is what it is. I'm just down to get in there and scrap and showcase my skills every time I go in there. So as long as they fight me often, I'm not going to be too unhappy. You know, I'll be pretty happy with that.
Sure. No, the reason I was asking was I didn't know if there was any type of clause. I know I asked Don this question, but from your perspective, like they buy the company, can you leave if you want? But apparently not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think whoever acquires mine, as long as they honor my contract, like that, there's nothing I can do. So it's just like if they don't honor the contract and they break it, then I have a way out. But I don't think they're going to do that. You know,
you guys were like,
I think they see me as a valuable asset.
Oh, 100%. You guys were like a month and a half away from all being free agents. Would that have been fun? Like if Showtime would
I think that would have been fun.
It would have just been like a free for all.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it would have been cool to see, you know, what deals would have been made with certain guys and where people would have went and how the landscape would have changed. But I'm not too upset with, you know, PFL acquiring Bellator either. You know, they did what they did. And, you know, a part of me is a little excited to see what's, you know, next. But a part of me is also wishing like, man, I wish they would have let it crash and burn and like we could have seen what would have happened, you know? So
how do you feel about the Bellator name being kept?
It's interesting. I think it makes sense though. They're trying to keep the brand loyalty a little bit. But they're kind of changing it. No, they're doing like the Bellator Championship.
Yeah. But it's still the name
keeping
and the brand. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're just trying to keep the brand name a little bit alive. But at the end of the day, we're all PFL fighters. So yeah. Man, just the name.
No, I know.
Yeah.
You know, I was just talking to a famous boxer named Regis Prograis. I don't know if you're a big boxing fan, but
I like to watch a lot of boxing, but I feel like I've probably watched him a few times.
He has a fight this weekend against Devin Haney for the 140-pound title.
I know Devin Haney. So
yeah, there's just so much. There's a lot of co-promotion these days in boxing. There's an event on December 23rd in Saudi Arabia where there's 12 promoters working together. Could you imagine that? We don't even get one promoter working with another promoter in the sport. I mean, I know, okay, it's unfair to Coker. Coker would work sometimes with Ryzen and Sakakibara. But, like, could you imagine you versus Sean Strickland? Could you next year, you know? Could you imagine these things? Do you dream these things? Man. Do you dream about it?
I'm sure Sean would love that.
Yeah.
Sean would love that. Everybody would love that. I think it'd be the best thing that could happen in the MMA space. I think that's a good thing that boxing does to keep their sport alive, that they can do the co-promotions. And I mean, you're just building the sport altogether when you do that. And it's just a shame that we're in the position that we're in and we don't do the co-promotions.
Yeah. That's why the PFL Bellator thing is kind of fun because it's sort of like a fake co-promotion, even though it's now owned by the same company. But there are these matchups that we could see. It just sucks that they don't have a 185. But arguably the two best champions coming over are the champions of two weight classes that they don't have in their promotion. Kind of weird how that worked out.
Yeah, I feel like if they did have those weight classes, it would have been way more interesting.
Yeah.
And I think the fake co-promotion would have been a little bit bigger, you know, especially if they had like a good guy at 85 and a good guy at bantamweight, you know. But that's why it just sucks, man. Like it's like I wish the UFC would be open to that type of shit, but they just don't want to do that, and it's just like it's so sad because it's like there's more money to be made. There's big fights to make. There's, you know, you would literally just build the sport and you would just make it better. And we're just like, no, we're not going to do it. It's just like, it kills me sometimes, man. It kills me.
Does it kill you to the point where eventually you're going to have to scratch that itch?
Possibly. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take one day at a time, continue to get better. And see where life takes me and see where, you know, this journey all ends. And, you know, at the end, hopefully I'm getting my hand raised and I'm at the top.
And you versus Hamza would be something. You versus Bo Nickel down the line. Could you imagine that?
Bro, I would love those fights, man. Those are things I really like. Those are fights I fucking dream of, man. But it's just like, I'm getting Derek Brunson or Aaron Jeffrey. And I'm not trying to play them down. They're great fighters too, but it's just not the they're not in the limelight like these other guys, you know.
Yeah.
They don't have the notoriety like these other guys. So it is what it is, man. I'm in a position where I'm not super unhappy either. I make good money. I'm living well. I'm healthy. I'm relatively happy. I just bought a new house. I love it. Have a great girlfriend. I got 2 dogs. They're awesome. And, you know, life's good. So I can't be too, you know, pessimistic about everything.
Could I ask about someone who is in the limelight, but maybe not in your crosshairs, but I saw something recently that I thought was interesting. You posted something quite lengthy about Gordon Ryan and about steroids.
Yeah.
What what compelled you to do that? Basically, I know his comments were that, you know, everyone should be allowed to use steroids, and then you posted a picture, and I think we're going to show the picture here, the side by side, and you wrote like I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 long paragraphs there about your feelings towards this. What compelled you to? And for those that may not have read it, if you could share your thoughts as well.
I just don't think it's a good way to promote athletes to do this type of stuff, because you have to understand athletes have a big influence on kids and young athletes and even college athletes. And I just don't think it's a route that is sustainable for the long run for, you know, people's health and just for sport. Like, one big thing that really pops up to me is when Bisping lost an eye to frickin' Vitor Belfort, and he was TRT Vitor, you know? And does that happen if he's not on fucking TRT? I don't know. But like, instances like that can happen because guys are, you know, juiced to the gills. And I just don't agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. The guy's amazing at what he does. Gordon is the best of the best, right? I just don't agree with him on a certain point when it comes to PEDs. I'm just anti-PED. I just don't think it's good for humans, man. Especially for, you know, kids to be doing that shit. You know, you might have the influence to have a kid do it, you know, and that might ruin their life in the long run. They might end up a train wreck later on, you know? So that's just kind of my viewpoint on it. I don't agree with it. And I think I'm pretty much anti-PED and just stay away from that shit, man.
Do you think that it's a problem in MMA? Are a lot of guys using it?
I mean, when PFL did the testing, a lot of guys popped. A lot of promotions don't like the test because they just want the guys to perform. And, you know, cool, they can do that, but like, what are they going to look like when they're 60 years old, man? What are their bodies going to be like? You know, because they're probably doing it now to be an entertainer. But I mean, you're a human first. You're an entertainer second. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, maybe yeah, you go on a tear. You're an entertainer for 20 years or 15 years, but what's the rest of your life going to look like? You know. So, you know, I'm here trying to root for humanity to be in a better place, regardless of where you're at in your life. You know, whether you're an entertainer, an old guy, a young guy, you know, just don't take shit that's gonna, you know, have repercussions later.
Do you think that, are a lot of, like, has this ever happened to you? Has someone ever come up to you and said, you know, you're good, but you could be a lot better if you do X, Y, and Z?
I've actually had guys, I don't know if they're fucking with me. They're like, are you on something? I'm like,
wow.
Nah, man. Like, cause I have really good cardio. So they're like,
that's a good compliment.
You take shit, huh? I'm like, nah, man, hard work, you know, hard work. No, I've actually never had a guy come up and like state that to me, actually. I think more so guys just do it because I think some guys do it because they feel like other guys are doing it. So they feel like they have to do it to level the playing field, which is even worse.
Right.
It's like, there's guys out there that don't even want to fucking do the shit, but they're forced to do it in a way because they know everybody else is doing it. And, you know, that can't be good. Right? Or am I crazy?
No, of course. Yeah.
So I feel like having a level playing field via, hey, no one's going to take shit, I think is the best way to go about it. So, you know, hopefully, not PFL. I know the UFC is not going to use USADA anymore. Yeah. But hopefully, you know, they're still going to do testing, but with another company. And hopefully they're, doing a good job in keeping the playing field level and healthy.
Did the old regime in Bellator do a good enough job?
I feel like they did a pretty good job. But there's some guys I look at them like, how the fuck? I feel like they're still on shit. Like some of them are still figuring out ways to get around
100%, it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a problem, I think. Like when I really look at it, I'm like, man, they must be super fucking paranoid then. Like just constantly, just having that paranoia at your back. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and then you're probably having to do all this crazy stuff to make sure you don't get caught. It's like, man, I'd rather just not take anything and just fucking go all natural, you know? It just seems easier that way.
By the way, speaking of the gym, just curious your take on this. Arman Tsarukyan had a huge win on Saturday, ATT guy, and I had him on the show on Monday, and I was just curious, you know, we were talking about who he might fight next, and I kind of ruled out Dustin because Dustin's an ATT guy, and he was, you know, he's kind of stone faced. He's a little bit terrifying, if I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I thought maybe he was
he's a killer, man.
Yeah, I was a little bit afraid of him, if I'm being honest. But he had no problem with fighting Dustin. Like most guys these days, like, no, I'm not fighting a quote unquote teammate. He's like, yeah, I'll train here. He trains there, no problem. Do you think that would be weird?
Yeah. I just don't think that'd be a fight that would happen, to be honest.
Okay.
But Arman is a killer dude. Like, congrats on his knockout. Like, holy shit, that dude is awesome. I'm so happy for him. But yeah, I don't think that's something. That's not a fight I even want to see. You know, like, and I'm close with Dustin though too, so maybe that's why. And I just don't like seeing teammates fight. You know, guys that train in the same gym when they don't even have to. They don't have to. There's other guys out there that they could fight. So. Yeah, we'll see, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. So in conclusion, you're not going anywhere. You still have 5 fights left. You're down. You're excited about the future. You just want to fight. You want some clarity. You like the February idea. I had heard February too. I heard maybe even in the Middle East. I don't know. If it's a champion,
never been. Well, no, I've been. So
okay.
I just lied.
Good to go back.
Yeah, I want to go back.
You versus Derek, you're in. You versus Aaron, you're in. You want 3 fights, preferably.
Even Impa, I'll go up a weight class.
You'll go Impa.
Even Impa.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
By the way, where's Vadim going? He's going to 85.
No. Vadim, I think he's going heavyweight.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I think he is. Yeah. Unless I'm completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he was stating he wasn't going to fight 205 anymore.
Okay, all right. But I feel like we accomplished some things here. We got some clarity. I liked it when they interviewed you in the in the middle of the fight at the finale, and you were like very like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of
dude. I was just like, felt like I was in an episode of The Office.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is a little awkward. Yeah. I have no fucking clue what's going on right now. But they're doing face-offs, like, but we don't know if these guys are going to actually fight. Like, and it's like, when are they going to fight? Where are they going to fight? What are the rules? Are we going to have elbows? Like, I'm just over here just like with giant question marks over my head.
Yeah, that came across. But I do appreciate the honesty as opposed to kind of like lying to the people. You were very transparent and honest. So I do appreciate that. And I think it will all work out. I think those guys have a plan. I just think this all came together rather quickly here at the end.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens in 2024. Good luck to you, my man. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Happy holidays. Congrats on a great 2023 and looking forward to what's next for you.
Thanks, Ariel. Thanks for always having me on, man. I always enjoy coming on. But yeah, happy holidays and enjoy the holiday season, man.
Same to you. There he is, Johnny Eblen, still the Bellator middleweight champion and going to be a huge player. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.